Please hold. Your call is important to us. Please hold. Your call is important to us.
So there was nothing actually forcing us to keep compulsively looking at our phones. We've got free will. Or do we? Let's go to another poll right now, and I want you to be honest about this. These are some habits. Do you use your phone as an alarm clock? Yes, I do. Do you use it in bed sometimes? Yeah, maybe. Have you ever taken it to the toilet? Oh, be honest, come on. Huh? This is totally anonymous, except we're tracking you. No, we're not, obviously. And a lot of people use it so much they cannot remember a day without it. Okay, so these phones are obviously quite addictive. So why are they so addictive? To help us understand why they're so addictive, and I'm hoping now that the microphone is transferred from Liam to Kim. I've got a yes from the background. So ladies and gentlemen, will you please welcome a BWA researcher and a PhD candidate, Kim Borg, as she makes her way to the stage. Yeah. Testing. Okay, glamorous, right? Okay. So, Kim, I want you to explain two things, B.F. Skinner and pigeons. And I'm going somewhere with this, so stick with it.
So B.F. Skinner was a Harvard psychologist and behaviourist who learned a lot about human behaviour by studying rats and pigeons, because how else are you going to learn about humans than studying animals, right?
Yeah.
He invented something called a Skinner box, which is literally a box inside which he would put his rat and his pigeon, probably not at the same time, I don't imagine they might fight,
yeah.
And he would train them to peck or press a lever in order to get a food pellet, a reward. And he could set it so that the food reward happened every time they pressed it, at set intervals or randomly.
So Skinner makes these Skinner boxes, and he could train pigeons to do all sorts of things. So he could train pigeons to play ping pong, for real. Little pigeon heads ticking a ping pong backwards and forwards. He taught them to turn around when they saw the word turn in English in front of them. He taught pigeons to pick the difference between a Monet and a Picasso, for real. Okay? So, and he called it operant conditioning. Is that right?
That's right, Jeff.
Yeah.
Operant conditioning is actually a principle that's used all around us, from SeaWorld to dog training. The basic principle is that a desired behaviour, so the thing we want the animal to do, is reinforced by giving it a reward for doing it.
Right, so it's all about rewards.
Yeah, so like humans, rats and pigeons get a surge of dopamine, which is the happy, feel-good chemical in the brain, when they do something that they know they're going to be rewarded for. And what Skinner found that's really interesting is that the most addictive rewards were actually the unpredictable ones. Knowing when you might win something is not as addictive as knowing you might win something.
Now, that is kind of amazing, except we're talking about pigeons and they got tiny little pea-sized brains. They're idiots. They're numb-nuffs.
Not so fast, Jeff. The principles of operant conditioning work with humans too. Consider this. Have you ever done the dishes just to stop your partner nagging you?
Oh, that's a very tricky question because she's in the audience. She's in the audience.
That's fine. She knows the answer. She knows you probably have. And if you have, it's fine. It's just a form of operant conditioning called negative reinforcement. That's where a negative stimulus, in this case nagging, is removed when you do the dishes, when you perform the desired behaviour. So whether you like it or not, you're being trained. We also have human-friendly Skinner boxes though. Poker machines and smartphones.
Right.
And what makes these devices so addictive is that we don't know when the reward is going to happen, which can lead to repeating the behaviour for hours and hours, like our little pigeon.
So what's going on in our heads?
Well look, the brain's pleasure centre gets activated by all the things that we like. Food, sex, drugs, shoes.
All the good stuff.
All the good things.
Yep.
But it's most activated not when we get the reward, but when we're anticipating one. It's walking into the shop that makes us tingle, not walking out with, let's face it, buyer's remorse.
I don't know, I like the shoes, I think they're fun.
Yeah, but I can't walk in them.
So, well, that's not important, you're on stage. Just put the pain, turn your head off.
Still,
okay, so how does that relate to phones?
Well, look, we get the same feel-good chemical shot every time we check our phones because we're hopeful we might win. There might be a new email, a new text message, a tweet, a like. And if it's not there this time, that's fine because it might be there next time, right? Or next time. Or next time. Or next time, does anyone know where my phone is?
Okay, so we are being forced, in a way, to check our phones against our will.
I would not use the term forced,
No.
but we are being nudged, as it's known in behavioural science. If you ask someone like Skinner, he would tell you that free will is a complete illusion because everything in our environment is influencing our behaviour. The truth is, we do have choices, but they're usually carefully constructed to produce particular outcomes.
So what would be a phone-based example of that sort of thing?
Look, let's think about everyone's most favourite thing when it comes to phones and apps: terms and conditions. So when you download an app, you're usually presented with the terms and conditions. And like most people, you probably hit accept because you want to get on with it and install the app and use it and, play funny ringtones or whatever it might be.
Yep.
But did you actually read the terms and conditions? Did you notice the boxes that were pre-ticked telling you exactly what data that app was going to access on your phone? And yet you still get mad when you find out that months or even years later, some random social media app has access to all your data. Your friends, their birthdays, your email address, your mother's maiden name. You had a choice. You could have hit decline. You could have read the terms and conditions and then hit decline. But the developers made it as hard as possible for you to do anything except hit accept.
Right. So we're being nudged by these engineers, especially when we use technology.
Technology, perfect example. So there's another behavioural psychologist called BJ Fogg who reckons when it comes to behaviour and technology, we need three things. We need motivation, triggers, and ability.
So what's the motivation for checking our phones?
Look, to be honest, boredom sometimes,
Okay.
Anxiety, curiosity, FOMO, or fear of missing out if you're not a Gen Y.
Elliot, could we just bring the lights up for a second? Who did not know what FOMO meant?
That's why we
That's got nothing to do with the show. I was just shaming people. Thanks, Elliot. We'll drop that down. Okay. So that's the motivation. What are the triggers? What triggers that?
So triggers include things as simple as the phone ringing. I mean, that's your phone telling you, pick me up, answer me. It lights up, it vibrates. It doesn't even vibrate. It phantom vibrates. Your friend's phone vibrates, but you need to check your phone when that happens.
Okay. And ability. What's the ability?
Look at it. It's small, it's convenient, it's user-friendly. It's this lovely little addiction in a box.
Wow. I mean, that is so manipulative. It's ruthless.
Are you talking about Facebook or your wife?
Okay, Kim, thank you very much. Kim Borg, thank you. Did you leave the stage? I'm in trouble. The key takeout is that my wife doesn't nag, okay? I love her very much, and I do the dishes because we have a mutual understanding about housework, and that's the official line we'll stick to for the rest of the show. Actually, the key takeout there is that the engineers that designed the apps and the machines didn't do it necessarily to make an addictive lifestyle. It was an arms race between each other to see who could come up with the most compelling apps and the most compelling colours and the most compelling devices. The guy that invented the Facebook like button, Justin Rosenstein, has come out and said it was a huge mistake. And he and other designers in Silicon Valley are sending their kids to schools that do not have phones, screens, laptops. They don't have tablets. Basically, the people that got us addicted to the internet are trying to wean their own children off the internet right now because it's not normal.